All right, so in the past, I went on a journey in spirituality and I ended up losing myself because instead of just telling my story from my perspective of what I was experiencing and the things in life which led me to where I ended up at that moment of having my spiritual awakening and wanting to talk about it, I got caught up in wanting to be a big time spiritual YouTuber with thousands of subscribers and all this and that. And and that clouded my judgment. And basically, I had a big ego about it. And we all learn from our ego. We all learn when, we're being too egotistical and we're caught up in our human emotions and overthinking shit. But being in that mind state, it really set me back because I wasn't able to get the messages out that I wanted to and needed to. You know, it definitely clouded my thought pattern. So much so to the point to where, I kind of lost motivation in the end because like I was trying to hit a certain goal. I had a goal in mind of becoming famous. And it's not about that. Like even the people that blow up and become famous, in the beginning they didn't do it for that. And if it ends up happening, okay, cool. But most of the time people just want to get their message out. And yeah, you know, the ability to monetize comes with having a YouTube platform. I mean, it's set up by YouTube headquarters for you. So, it just is what it is. It's part of the game. And you can take advantage of it if you make it big, or if not, then maybe to that individual it doesn't matter. But, even outside of the spiritual community and, people who talk about spirituality and all that, I'm pretty sure somebody got the big head and wanted to be famous on here. And, got in their ego. And rather than being authentic and coming up with a decent message, you know, it just got all discombobulated because they got in their ego and whatnot. And you know, it's just never a good thing from my experience and the journey that I've been on. It was a mistake. I'll straight up admit it. And looking back on it now, I should have just got my messages out. I should have been more focused on that and not caring so much about wanting to be famous. But it happens because it doesn't matter what community it is on here. Like you see other big time YouTubers and, a small part of you wants to be like them. Just be honest, like it's true. And there's nothing wrong with it. We get motivation and inspiration from those who've made it big before us. So, it's just a thing in human existence. But, yeah, that shit can cloud your judgment if you look at that and you're trying to pattern yourself after somebody else who became famous within a certain community. Now you're trying to copy some of the things that they've said. You've taken on their ideas or their message. Now, maybe their message resonates with you, but you're doing it from a place of being a wannabe. You want to be so badly, and you're caught up in your ego about it, and you're just doing this shit to try to be like that guy that you saw with 500K subs, And you think he's cool and you want to be him. You want to be better than him, so rather than being the greatest version of you, you know what I'm saying, you try and copycat him or try and imitate his shit to a degree. But there were times in the past when I did that, and I can straight up admit it. So looking back on it now, like, yeah, it was hella silly and it got in the way of the authentic message that I had to say, the authenticity of my being. And I mean, yeah, spirituality is a real thing. You know, I believe in the spirit world. I believe in astral projection. I believe in consciousness being non physical and immortal. I believe in the true essence of your being, whether you want to call that the soul or the spirit, lives on after this physical human life is over. And, you know, it's over at different times depending on the individual, what year they were born, and so forth. But yes, there is a spiritual aspect to this physical world that we live in. You know, and a lot of spiritual teachings have been muddied up. You know, the waters have been muddied, so to speak, because, you know, a lot of people have come on here and try and be spiritual and shit when they are really not spiritual. Like, there's some people who have been in the spirituality community who don't even really believe in it, but they know how to use clickbait titles and they've studied YouTube SEO and shit like that. And yeah, they know how to make a video. And for a while, they'll be on here talking all that spiritual stuff and then they'll leave. Like, I've seen these individuals and they had big followings too. And then they just left for no reason because they really didn't believe in what they were saying. That's why. Hell, they even had the chance to monetize and everything, and they didn't do it because they didn't believe in it. They didn't want to monetize because that meant they would have had to stand on what they say and represent it long term for many years, possibly even decades. So that was just them revealing to you, you know, that they weren't real. And this is me just saying to anybody who's done that. I'm not going to mention any names. I do remember certain individuals who were in the spiritual community who did this and disappeared. But again, they're going to remain anonymous, but they are in the memory file. And so, and that's another layer. You know, you got people who have come on here and who have faked being spiritual. You know, they either gave up when they didn't get a large following, or they got the large following and then they just dipped anyway because they weren't really spiritual, or they did what I did and were trying to be more than what they needed to be while being in the spiritual community. And it ended up messing up their message and they weren't able to do what they really needed, intended, and wanted to do. But my point of this video is just be you. Like, if you're really trying to talk about spirituality and talk about these things, you know, because there's many different degrees and elements to, you know, spirituality. And so whatever aspect of it you're trying to talk about, just come on here and be authentic. You know, I've realized that I've matured and now I can really get my message out. But you're not going to be able to do that otherwise. So take it from one who's learned.